Long questions afterwards. I think you stay for lunch, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Li Gong, for coming here. Thank you. Now, moving over to innovation, the role of innovation in European frameworks. We welcome up on stage Mr. Bror Salmelin, who is Advisor for Innovation Systems at European Commission DG Connect. Welcome, Bror.
Tack, Mia. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure to be here in front of a challenging audience, inspiring audience, and after inspiring speeches. I will speak about, well, you can see the role of innovation in European frameworks, a typical bureaucratic administrative topic, but I think we can build on some of the more official statements, but go more in depth in the thinking. We have recent conclusions from the European Council, and here I would like to draw your attention to what they point out. We really need to put the demand-led innovation as the main driver. And of course, when looking at very much the Nordic, the Swedish innovation systems, we have been speaking about participative innovation, participation, co-creation. So again, the basis to speak in front of this audience is very, very good. We need to speak about productivity and innovation, but for me, what is really important is that we go beyond these keywords. Innovation is probably one of the most misused words today. Every politician speaks fluently about it without really digging behind. Other words which we hear a lot of in European context is transparency. Well, transparency means that you actually don't see anything. Air is transparent. Do you see the air? Or momentum. Well, more static you can't have. Where is the inertia which is driving forward? So we need to get more inertia to our innovation systems. One wording also which is constantly irritating is that we praise quantum leaps. But do you actually know anything smaller, theoretically smaller than a quantum leap? There isn't. So again, look beyond the words, because again, what we are now in a, I would say, continuous disruptive innovation phase of shaping the future. We heard many indications towards that, and that's clearly also our challenge to change the mindset, the behavior of how different components needed for creation, active creation of the new is needed. It's about value choices. It's really not about technology. ICT is, as we heard earlier today, one of the critical enablers for the transformation of the behavior of the society, which is then bringing stronger even the societal values and citizen values up front. We see new power structures, let's say, example, the social media, where we actually bring together ideas, elaborate them, and then bring them forward. So again, how do you bring them into the landscape of shaping new kind of value for the citizens and businesses and the society? So again, look at all the aspects which are needed to have a strong interplay. For our perspective, it's really to create the framework from technology, societal innovation, new drivers in the economy, society, also taking into account new legal, regulatory approaches, because if you think about what we see around us now, a lot of the regulatory approaches from the public sector stem from the past industrial paradigm, you could say, controlled, predictable paradigm. Is the legislation fit for trials and experimentation and for the new? Does it fit the new society and its interactions? And that could be quite an interesting challenge when we are looking at, for instance, the next generation Swedish, Nordic, European innovation system. How do we bring a catalytic means also from policy and legal perspective? There's quite an interesting study from MIT from 2002 clearly indicating that the more you have diversity in research teams, the more you have possibilities for breakthrough innovation. So again, that is one thing which I think is so important. We need to have a mashup of different kinds of ideas, different kind of disciplines, different kind of maturities of technologies. And for me, the direct deduction from that is that we need to have those kind of open spaces where this interaction can happen. The mashup. ICT is very much enabler for this kind of connectivity. So again, do we have that kind of spaces where we can throw up our ideas in, well, let them mingle, and then out comes some fruit for perhaps entrepreneurs to bring forward to the world. When we are looking at innovation, different measures exist, but here I would like to clearly say that Europe is not that badly positioned. When we are looking at the most competitive countries in the world, we are ranking in the top, mainly the Nordic countries, which have this strong participative component. We have, well, this ranking of most innovative cities from 2011, we saw just in the previous, also the, I would say, innovation hubs, the cities. So again, the picture is not that dark as what we read in the papers, but also what is clearly important is to see what makes these hubs working, and how can we ensure that they will be working and growing also in the future. What makes the strength there? We currently are reasonably well off compared to some competitive regions in the world. We are not creating that much debt as a whole, and here I think about the whole Europe as net. For me, the challenge is really to see that due to ICT, the world is not flat. Talent is more easily attracted to talent now than before. So how do we actually create those growing spikes, those attractive spikes which is attracting talent more and more? And can we have more of them in Europe? When you look at this picture, you see, yes, there are spikes, but can we maintain them? Can we make them even more attractive? What makes the attractiveness of talent? And it's not about moving people, it's about moving ideas, moving all kind of activities. Talent attracts talent. And talent is attracted where the talent can successfully fulfill its own ambitions. So again, we speak about dynamics, we speak about speed of interaction, and really to creating those kind of spheres where that interaction can happen as frictionlessly as possible. Very much open innovation ecosystems. And for me, one of the challenges in Europe is will that turn into new kinds of entrepreneurship, new forms of entrepreneurship, or how do we actually make the innovation happen in the real world to create value? When we see this picture, you can see that we have two a bit stronger points in Europe following this article. It was from early this year, one around London and one around Moscow. But the rest of the European landscape is rather flat, but at least it's colored, so it's not so bad. But you see that a lot of new entrepreneurship is happening in BRIC countries, and of course in the traditional places like Silicon Valley or Boston area. When we are looking at then our frameworks, our research policy for the 2014 onwards, what we see increasingly important is really the mentality to create these kind of spheres for interaction in the real world. open innovation, building very strongly on the technology enablers, including the societal innovation. Because when we are looking at all these necessary conditions, then we can probably also tackle one of the issues which were just mentioned in the previous. We are not that good in business model innovation. We are not that good in creating the new markets based on the technology and societal development at the same time. Can we reinforce that? Can we create that kind of fluid innovation systems which enable business model innovation in a stronger case, in a stronger, much faster pace than has happened before? So it's really about innovation in value, value for all. Well, you know the Maslow hierarchy for needs, and of course when we are transforming that to organization, I think that we Europeans have very much concentrated on the lower levels of, I would say, the basic traditional industrial values of cost saving, revenue generation, and customer satisfaction. But what we claim, and that will be seen also increasingly in our research programs, we think that the organizational competitiveness is a lot more dependent on how the organization itself is positioned vis-à-vis other organizations or in the society. You could say organizational agility, innovation culture, cross-organizational collaboration will be the keys of, well, related directly to how the companies, the organizations are positioned themselves in their ecosystems, in their innovation ecosystems, which we think need to be very, very much open. There were quite an interesting study on the drivers for new entrepreneurs related to, I would say, atypical new forms of enterprising. And what we see from that study clearly was that the traditional driver was not anymore the power, the control, but it was more on, I would say, even hedonistic self-direction. So we see new types of drivers for those entrepreneurs who again position themselves differently in the value creation in the society. I think that's also very important when we are looking at designing an innovation system. How do we catalyze those kind of new drivers for new entrepreneurship, new kind of value creation? I speak really about value creation in the large sense. It's not only business value, it's societal value as well. In our new framework proposal, the Horizon 2020, we are clearly moving away from the linear innovation model to something where we really want to push the innovation to happen. Because innovation is just an idea until it happens. We can have tremendously many ideas in the air, but if that's not becoming reality, it's just an idea. We need to look at different kinds of approaches, or where the you could say idea offer is meeting the demand and the market. So we really need to focus on that very point. What is creating value, and how to make that point seamless. User-centric, user-driven, of course, that is what we have tradition in Sweden also. Open innovation, really in the openness beyond the cross-licensing ideas of Henry Chesborough, really looking at what we can do regarding the societal capital as part of the open innovation environment, open innovation ecosystems, having a more systematic approach, linking all the elements together, and dare to do experimental mashups. Experiment in the real world what is possible, what is not, to really seek the boundaries of innovation, to get fast, scalable prototypes, fast, multipliable prototypes, because we are creating now something which didn't exist. There is no ready market when we are speaking about true innovation. We are shaping the market at the same time. And that was also touched upon in the previous presentations. We need to be out there with the real people. And we need to try. And then we know if we are on the right track. We are failing fast, but not in fundamental things. We have the opportunity to correct the direction, and that will also be seen in our Horizon 2020, because we are really putting a lot of parallel bridges between the knowledge and market, both actively shaping that with different kinds of means. You will see that in the structure of the program, where we really are pushing for ecosystem-centric approaches, linking the various elements in an interdisciplinary way together. You won't see in the new framework program the same kind of structures as we have in the current one, because really the thinking is very much that we need to include all stakeholders. You are quite well developed in Sweden, and the Living Lab thinking is just I would say, a continuation of that to really link all the stakeholders in very rich, connected environment to do real-world experiments, real-world prototyping, because only then we can, as I said, stretch the boundaries to see what works, what doesn't. And for sure, if we do that kind of high ambition experimentation, it will lead to very, very high ambition research projects as well. Genuine basic research, if we set the ambition level high. It's not just integration, which is very often misunderstood. Regarding the Horizon 2020, what we really are doing now is we are bringing all the means into one program. When looking at the structure itself, we have 3 elements there, but they are not separate. They are just from, let's say, drawing techniques perspective separate. One clearly on tackling societal challenges, but again in I would say, rather beyond keyword thinking. Industrial leadership, building on the existing industrial strengths, ICT very much, but also to see what are the new areas we need to be strong in. As identified, we are not that strong in Europe in internet-based industries as such. But what is our strategic position, for instance, regarding clouds? If we don't have our own strategy, we end up to be a wonderful marketplace for extra European service and equipment providers. So we need to find our own role in that game. And of course, we need to take care of a lot of seed being grown to be harvested later via science investments. What the Commission now has proposed is a framework program for 80 billion. I just hope that the member states will agree on the importance of research investment. There is, though, a very high correlation between successes and research investment over a long time, so I really hope that the importance of this area is being seen in the decision making. What I want to stress here is that what you will be seeing in the texts is really a lot more of prototyping, experimental approaches in real world. What you will see, specific instruments for SMEs as part of ecosystems. Here I need to say that personally I would be rather careful for SME instruments, because in the global connected world you could really justifiably ask, are there children's tickets? I don't think that there are children's tickets for SMEs. They need to be equal partners in their ecosystems. And that's why it's so important to develop the SME instruments in the context of where they will be operating. And also environments, frameworks for where, again, the idea aggregation or competencies aggregation can happen. So coming back to the thinking of the program, we see clearly the drivers in there somehow I like the word organization, reflecting the competencies being brought together or then distracted depending on how the organization is solving a certain problem. Because, of course, we need to speak about entirely new types of organizational forms when we are tackling the issues which are related to modern innovation ecosystems. I touched already the IPR and more in general legislation. We need to have a revision of the legislation to enable catalytic rather than inhibiting approaches by legislation. Because again, when I compare the biggest difference from the past to the future, in the past we defined that we need to have certain objectives with even rather strict technical perspectives saying, okay, come with offers. Now we are more having an approach which is problem solving. So again, the issue how you will solve the problem in the research frameworks will be more up to you, but we really want to move more strongly through this experimentation, open, disruptive themes. For instance, in my DG Connect, we have decided that 10% of our funding goes directly to these open and disruptive schemes, which is, of course, an experiment for us as well. I finalize my presentation with important consideration. I think we are too little putting attention of the question, what is the cost of not doing anything, when we are talking about cost savings today. It's easiest to stop all activity and say 100% of all the costs, but will we have then the future? So again, I do not see any alternative for really approaching the innovation landscape in an entirely new way, investing in, I would say, more open way to solve the problems. How do we make the innovation space fluid between all the actors? Again, openness is a very, very important issue here. Can we create those kind of open innovation ecosystems where there are processes which can accommodate the ideation and then the fair share of the use of the ideas? And that is also one challenge for national innovation ecosystems, for national innovation policies, as well as European ones. How do you ensure the fair share? Because what we see in innovation, we all are becoming active subjects in that, and not anymore objects, consumers. I hate the word consumer in this context. We are citizens with different roles, professional roles, private roles simultaneously, when we are speaking about the shaping of the new ecosystems. And we all can be members of several ecosystems in different roles simultaneously. The mentality requires, the mentality of moving to experimentation requires a lot. It requires a lot of courage. We have been traditionally very good in Europe for making good plans, good programs for yesterday. If you do have any further comments, please have a look at those links. We have also outside a yearbook of our group on open innovation called Open Innovation 2012, now preparing a new yearbook on new issues. Well, thank you for your attention, and please be in contact. We are welcoming all ideas with which we can make our innovation system in Europe better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bror. You just said you're welcoming all initiatives. I know Sweden, and you probably know this too. Sweden just launched an innovation strategy What do you think about it?
Well,
now I know we have people from the enterprise
well, if I look at these considerations, I think it is important that you have that strategy. But what is equally important is that you make it happen. Well, I can take an example of what DG Regio is now doing. It's urging every single region in Europe to develop its smart strategy. What I'm afraid is that it happens the same as happened with the smart strategies in every region for some 10 years ago, where every single region in Europe was specializing in ICT. So again, go beyond the keywords. That is what I really wish for a strategy, and that it is made happening.
So it's not enough to have a strategy, you have to make it happen.
Yes, because again, you can do a lot of trials, you have the infrastructure, you have the sectorial strengths. But then how to use it in practice is the big question.
I think also that's the wish of the Swedish government, but we'll see what happens with this innovation strategy. Now, questions for Bror? Yes, we have one question over there. It's a lot of good exercise for the ladies running around with the microphones today.
Gunnar Karlsson, KTH. I wonder, this high level that you talk about, I can agree with much of it, and I think it's very nice. But as a researcher, I participate in these projects, and I see the implementation is where it's lacking. It's very heavy-handed, very lots of text and lots of conditions to apply for money, and there has to be certain sizes. And what you say about transparency is, of course, that we think that there's something underneath that we want to see. So we want to have the transparency to see what is really important for making decisions regarding project proposals and so forth. And that's not very transparent. There are smoke screens or front pages, but we think that there are other conditions behind. So how can the implementation be better? That is my question.
Well, you speak about the present framework, which
You
okay.
can use this.
Well, you are speaking very much about the present framework, which I must say could be simpler, somewhat simpler, a lot simpler, depending on who you are looking at.
But it's changing now.
It is changing now, and that is what is my main message. The thinking is really that we want to look at the innovation processes more holistically. We do want to see that kind of trial and experimental mentality also. We want to see more portfolio thinking, where we are tackling really issues with a lot more freedom of how you actually will tackle the issue.
So something is happening in the process.
A lot.
You're moving.
A lot
is happening.
And that, therefore, again, I really urge you to contact us, because all that is shaping now. The programs will start in 2014, so we are actually now designing the rules.
So now it's the time to have lunch with Bror after this, but we have another question over there on the other side, please.
Yes, I'm Lennart Karlsson, Luleå University of Technology, and I have two questions related to your emphasized questions. And the first is on new business models and also about open innovation. And when we took part in the preparation of FP7, the extended enterprise and new business model, including ICT, was a hot area and didn't come through very much. And now it's still a hot area, I understand from you. So I would like your comments on that, as well as open innovation, which in the presentation before you, we heard that there are several patent combats, I would say, between different companies, and that's far from open innovation. So how can you comment on those two issues, business models and open innovation?
Well, regarding business models, what is really important is that we find new ways of creating value. And what you said about manufacturing-related areas, we need to link that manufacturing-related areas to value creation. So, of course, that is very important and will be increasingly important in the new framework. Regarding open innovation, what our policy is simply that we do not want anyone to be locked in to any one single solution. And therefore, we do not define actually the technologies, but we want to define the interaction on the meta level so that the solutions can be technology agnostic and interoperable. So yes, open innovation. But it goes further than that because, again, what we, as I referred to, we want to create those kind of spheres which are welcoming different kind of ideas from all the actors, including citizens, and where you can actually, as an outsider, take your ideas and move them to the business. But what is key there is to create the rules of the game, how that will happen.
Thank you very much for coming here, Bror Salmelin. Thank you very much.